Yo, what up guys, I'm Sammy and welcome back to the Soul Drop, and this is my first impressions look on the Adidas Trae Young 3. So of course this is Trae Young's third signature shoe with Adidas, and this shoe is retailing for $140, which is pretty damn expensive. The tech that you get is actually pretty good, however, and we have this colorway available on adidas.com and also like a black and white colorway. So if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave the affiliate link in the description box. But let's get it started right off with the Tracciones, right? So yeah, that right now for my first impressions, that is the one thing that is worrying me a lot, right? Right off the bat, this shoe feels pretty damn nice. I like how it fits and all that, but the traction is not feeling too good, right? So we have a mix of herringbone and nubbies, right? So we have a little bit of herringbone on the translucent parts, right? Here in the tip of the toe, and also going through the midfoot, and also here in the heel, we have a herringbone type of traction pattern, right? And then here in the forefoot area, we have this like, there's like a little circle, right? It kind of circles out on itself, and we have some lines, right? And it's a very, very thin, very fine, small line, and it's very, very soft, right? And also we can see some holes. We have some holes, and also, I don't know if you guys can see, but there's some like divots. It kind of goes in on itself, kind of like someone was like poking it a little bit, right? So it doesn't have a lot of surface area. It doesn't have a lot of the outsole touching the actual floor, which kind of sucks, which is kind of the whole point in traction. Like traction is how much contact something has with the ground, right? So I don't know why you would have holes in the forefoot. Why would you have holes in the forefoot if you want good traction? That doesn't make any sense to me, you know what I mean? Because here in the forefoot, you're playing on your forefoot a lot when you're playing basketball, you know what I mean? And like, even when you're playing any sport, you're on your forefoot a lot, right? Compared to the heel, right? Even in the midfoot, you're mostly gonna put a lot of force in the forefoot, right? So you put holes, these aren't in contact with the ground, this part, right? There's no outsole here. And then, like I said, there's those little points where it kind of divots in. So those aren't really in contact with the ground either. So yeah, I mean, all that aside, yeah, the traction does not feel good. The traction does not bite very well on my wood floors, which kind of sucks. And also, it has zero squeak, absolutely none, which kind of sucks. Hopefully once I break it in, it starts to squeak a little bit, but right now it's very, very silent. But of course, squeak has nothing to do with performance, but you know, I like to have a little bit of squeak, and the Trae Young 3 does not really have a lot of squeak. And of course, it seems to be picking up a good amount of dust, especially here where the ball of your foot is, because of how fine and close together these grooves are here in the forefoot, right? And the durability seems absolutely terrible, right? So here in the tip of the toe, I mean, this seems okay. The rubber's still soft, but where your forefoot is and where the ball of your foot is, you know what I mean? This is all fine, super soft rubber. And this is like a high wear area, so I don't know why you would change that and make it thinner. And then here, throughout the rest of the outsole, where the rest of the herringbone is, it's also super duper soft. So durability seems like it's gonna be freaking terrible too. So yeah, the outsole, the traction is not feeling good. Of course, that's just my first impressions. It could probably maybe get better once I break it in and actually playing it, but right now for my first impressions, it's not feeling too good, right? Now moving on to the heel to toe transition, it's overall pretty smooth, right? So here in the heel, we have a nice rounded kind of curved shape, right? And also fully exposed midsole, which makes the heel pretty damn soft. And then here in the forefoot, however, look at that. Look at how freaking flat it is, dude. look at that. You know what I mean? Compared to, I don't know, something like this, which has a good amount more. Look at that, you know? And that's one thing I like about, I guess, non-Adidas shoes. They have a lot more curve. And when I'm shooting, it just allows me to be on my toes a little bit more. It just feels more comfortable. But Adidas shoes, they tend to be a little bit more flat. I mean, I'm sure some people don't care, but for me, I like to have it a little bit more curved. And also, it does slap a little bit, you know, because of the flatter shape. But it's not terrible because we have a lot of forefoot flex, right? But also we can see kind of like a midfoot shin plate through this translucent outsole. We can see this plastic piece, right? And it's asymmetrical and it gives you good torsional support, but also you have a good amount of forefoot flex, right? So overall heel to toe transition is not that bad. It just feels a little bit like a slapper. Now moving on to the cushioning setup. So for the cushion, on Adidas's website, they say it's just a composite midsole or a composite foam, which is pretty interesting. And then I checked on like Finish Line and Foot Locker and stuff like that, and it says they're using Light Strike plus Boost, right? So I'm guessing the actual midsole is Light Strike because this is not what Boost looks like. And also we have this really cool pattern on it. I really like this pattern. It's inspired by, of course, the Adidas slides, the Adilet 22, I believe it was. And then I'm guessing Boost is kind of like in the core, right? But yeah, the actual midsole here, especially in the heel, has a lot of compression. It's super duper soft. I love how it feels. It does, I mean, the court feel isn't the best, but it's not bad. Here in the heel, it does feel pretty high up, and then here in the forefoot, it does get pretty low to the ground, so you have a pretty high offset. And then as far as the insole goes, the insole kind of sucks. I mean, Adidas usually gives us really crappy, very thin insoles. Not a huge deal, I guess, if the stroke board is nice, but in this case, the stroke board is actually just a regular stroke board, but then feeling it, it's actually quite soft. You know what I mean? There is a good amount of compression from this actual stroke board, which that's very nice. It doesn't feel super glued down or anything. It doesn't feel super stiff. So the step-in comfort is actually pretty good. I can't really tell 100% if it's actually Boost because of this stroke board. It doesn't really expose it, right? But I'm guessing it's probably Boost because it says it is Boost plus Light Strike, right? Either way, step-in comfort is really comfortable, and then the actual foam here in the heel has good compression. It's soft, it's comfortable. So I love this cushioning setup so far. It doesn't feel too soft or too mushy right now either, which I do like. Hopefully it's not too mushy, you know, once I actually play in it. But right now it feels really nice. So there's the cushioning setup there. Moving on to the materials, we have, well, they're calling it an EM material, right? But it's kind of like a textile, you know? And it's actually pretty damn nice. It has a lot of backing. It feels like there's some underlying materials, and also it does feel a little like glued down, right? Kind of like a really thin cardboard or plastic underneath this textile, but it's not like super stiff and doesn't feel very cumbersome or anything. It just adds a lot to the support, right? So when I press it down, it's not super soft, right? Compared to the KD15, which is just a super thin, very soft metal. Like, you see the difference here? Like, I'm just poking it and just kind of like goes in, right? The Trae Young 3, not as much, right? But it doesn't feel like it's uncomfortable. It's not digging into the top of my toes or anything like that. So I actually really like it. It conforms to my foot pretty damn well too. So I like it. It just feels a little bit stiffer, or I guess what this textile material looks like. But yeah, it stays pretty damn supportive, but also soft here in the forefoot. And then same thing here in the midfoot area. As far as the laces go, we have like some flat laces, and we have some flywire. Yes, I know flywire is Nike, but I just call it flywire, you know what I mean? So we have these cables for eyelets, and the laces only go through these cables, which kind of worries me, you know what I mean? So if you tighten the laces pretty damn tight, it does have a chance to actually kind of like rip or tear. So I am a little bit worried about durability of the eyelets. I mean, they do seem kind of thick, like on the thicker side of things, but that's always a chance, right? That can happen. And then for the tongue, we have a very thin tongue. It's made of a like polyester material, and then here there's really no padding. We do have some perforation holes for ventilation, and then on top of the tongue we have very little padding. We have like 2 little pockets of padding, you know, and that's pretty much it. Throughout the entire tongue, it's not very well padded. And then here in the ankle area, we do have Achilles pads, right? So that does feel very nice. It's actually really well padded. On top right here, it's not well padded, you know what I mean? But once you get into the actual like meat of the ankle part, there is a good amount of padding from these Achilles pads, which does improve the comfort. It also does improve the lockdown. So overall, it doesn't feel super cheap for materials, and it feels pretty damn nice on foot. It's just not a super soft and super kind of like very thin material. It's more like on the supportive feeling side of things, you know what I mean? Which isn't a bad thing. It's all, of course, a matter of preference. And now moving on to the fit. So I went up half a size, right? And it actually fits me pretty damn well. I would say there's a little bit of length. So if you want something that's very snug lengthwise, then I guess go true to size. But for me, it wasn't that bad. You know what I mean? I can actually live with the length. So that was okay. And then here in the toe box, it's a normal fit. It's not super snug, and it's also not super roomy. So it's a pretty normal, maybe slightly snug fit here in the toe box. And also widthwise, I would say it's like a normal width as well. So it's a pretty normal fit because I did go up half a size. So if you want kind of like a normal fit, then go up half a size. If you want more of a snug fit, then probably go true to size. And if you have a wide foot or you want a really roomy fit, probably go up a full size. But for the most part, it does fit me pretty well. It does all depend on like if this textile material will kind of like get roomier and stretch out a little bit here in the toe box. But right now it does fit me pretty well, so I don't really mind the fit there. Moving on to the support and lockdown. So for lateral containment, it feels like it's gonna be pretty damn good, right? So like I said, this material feels very, very supportive, right? We also do have a little bit of fuse right here, so that probably does stiffen up the material here a little bit. And also we have a lot of the foam coming up, acting as a sidewall. Like right here in the forefoot, we have some points that kind of come up, right? And then here in the midfoot, and then here in the heel as well. And we have kind of like this external TPU heel counter as well. And this design looks very similar to the midfoot chain plate, which is pretty cool. So lateral containment feels like it's gonna be very good, and also lateral stability. I mean, Adidas usually does this really well. They give us very, very wide bases, almost to the point where the shoe feels really bulky. You know what I mean? Like the midsole just always bubbles out like crazy, right? But yeah, the lateral stability feels like it's gonna be very good as well. All right, now moving on to the weight of the shoe. It feels kind of like average, maybe a little bit heavier than average. So I'm guessing like 13 ounces, 12, 13 ounces. Yeah, 13.75 ounces. Okay, let's check the other shoe. 14.2 ounces versus 13 points. There's a 0.5 ounce difference in weight. So speaks to the quality a little bit. I guess that's kind of bad, but like 13, 14, that's pretty heavy. You know what I mean? And Adidas usually makes heavy shoes. They don't really prioritize weight. You know what I mean? Which kind of sucks. And also, it feels really bulky, right? I don't know if this is gonna show up on camera, but look, this is the same size shoe and they both fit me pretty damn well. But you can see how much bigger the Trae Young 3 is. Look at that. It's pretty damn crazy because of how much the midsole protrudes out here. You know what I mean? There's just so much foam in here as well. So all of that is kind of pushing my foot forward, and that's why this shoe fits me. But it's just such a big difference, right? You guys can see also from the outsole how much smaller the KDs are. So that's just one thing I don't like about Adidas' shoes and their designs too. Let's just coupling that with the flatter like sole shape, and also like the slapping, and also the bulkier type of design. Not a huge fan, you know what I mean? So we'll have to see. Hopefully if the traction is good, I guess it'll be a responsive shoe, but overall it does feel pretty nice on foot, but it does feel pretty damn bulky, right? So there's that. Moving on to the aesthetics, I really like it. I love this midsole design. I like the overall upper design as well. So tell us what you guys think of the aesthetics down in the comment section below. So wrapping things up, the Trae Young 3, I mean, it feels alright. Like I said, traction's not feeling too good. Cushion does feel nice. And I guess the material feels nice. It fits me pretty well. It's overall comfortable, but like I said, I don't really like the flatter shape, and also it does feel pretty bulky. So it's feeling pretty good so far, but my first impressions are like, oh, this shoe feels freaking absolutely amazing. And also for 140 bucks, which is kind of expensive, yeah, my first impressions are alright. You know what I mean? So anyways, that about concludes this video. Again, if you guys do want to cop, I'll try to leave a link in the description box, but that's it. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.